Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Hello and welcome to City Alpha 3, the Nerd Party Star Trek podcast. I'm your host, Philip Gilfus, joined as always by Darren Moser and Daniel Prue. Gentlemen, how's your Star Trek June going?
June, I know. Are we counting down to whatever the next show is? Is it Prodigy?
A schedule is starting to form. We know we got the Picard season 2.
Oh no,
2021.
It's forming.
We saw Old Man Q.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. That's right. The Picard trailer dropped. And time travel?
I
guess?
know what
I don't know.
is even going on. I don't.
You know, it's interesting. I saw a little article someone made, and they had a good point. And they basically talked about how it's very difficult to have fun and kind of like introspective episodes with the current pace and season length and so what they did is they're like, what if we took that approach to DS9 and he had like 10 episode seasons, and they basically told all of DS9 in like 3 seasons in 30 episodes. It was basically like Meet the Dominion War, Eddington Arc, end of the war. That was it. And it was just like boom, 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 boom. And they had a good point. I mean, it's something to be said about having time to spend time with your characters and not having it all be about one character and all of that.
Just watching Loki now, which is sort of all about parallel timelines and variants. And so that sort of put me in that.
2 Lokis?
Girl Loki? Or I don't know. We'll find out who it is. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, you have shows like that where it's 5 or 6 or 8 episodes long, but the type of story they're trying to tell works for that. And I feel like they're trying to fit this Star Trek shaped piece into a 10 episode box, and it doesn't. I don't know.
You know,
it's been lacking.
It's kind of interesting because we talked about this before Discovery came out, and we were like, man, this is going to be great because there's no need for filler episodes. Like, there's a lot, like Star Trek used to do all that sort of stuff. And now thinking about it, you're like, man, I kind of wish we had some filler space.
We're never happy. Happy.
It's like, it's just interesting that like, just because like the world is different now and TV is so strangely different than the Star Trek we're used to, that it seems to struggle to fit in there, but it is what it is, I guess.
I've seen a lot of, I haven't looked at it. Not that I have anything against it, but I've seen a lot of art come out for Star Trek Prodigy on the interwebs, at least showing what it'll look like. And then they released the characters and the voice actors who are playing the characters.
That's right. What hashtag it was a Tellurite all along? I mean, is that the thing we were wondering about? Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. So, but I'd be interested. New series, new seasons of series, all that stuff. So
Q coming back, and we don't know anything about Lower Deck season 2, but I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, what's there to know? There's going to be a bunch more jokes. That's the one I think, served least by like plot details.
Teaser.
Yeah, it's like
right. Just show us. It's like, hey, you think you're tuning in for the first teaser? It's really just the first episode because, like, why not? Yeah. Just give it.
When I
give away the jokes,
Yeah, exactly. I'm just baffled by the Picard teaser because I don't know at all what is happening or what's going on. Like, I have zero idea.
He's got to save time because
okay. And the first teaser had that thing from from Deep Space Nine, which of course is absent from
Prophets.
This teaser. Yeah, so it's like, what is? I don't know what's happening or.
Look, if you first season you save the universe, the second season has to save time. It's the only thing bigger.
Space, you save time, and then
I don't know.
If you get a robot body at the end of the first season, what do you get at the end of the second season?
Time enough to spend it. I don't know.
Or is it going to reset everything? And the Jean-Luc we're going to get is from a future where he didn't get a robot body. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think I mean, whatever. We're all like, oh, we're gonna hate it. Of course, we're not gonna.
It doesn't feel like they're picking up any of the threads that were left in the first season. So
all the jewels we left them. But I mean, like, if they do an alternate timeline, I mean, theoretically, everything that's gonna happen, it won't matter at the end. I mean, because you'll hit a reset button or.
Maybe
all hands abandoned ship. All hands abandoned ship.
Yeah.
Maybe Q will let us see what Lieutenant Picard.
Oh god, the blue shirt,
blue shirt Picard is up to in his alternate.
He's just
reality.
in like a bar in Scotland or something.
He's a commander now, So
Lieutenant Commander. No,
I'm calling him Commander Picard. All right.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started, Philip.
Cool. All right. Well, this is completely accidental, so I'm not even going to pretend like this is why I did this. But, we sort of had the new federally recognized Juneteenth holiday, and even though this is not why I chose this, it's an appropriate selection for this weekend. We are going to be talking about the 2021 documentary that came out, Woman in Motion.
You mean the 2019 documentary? Because that's
it was made then, but it wasn't released until now. So.
Oh, okay. We were just speculating about that. If it had some sort of wide release now, and earlier it was just a one-off, or because all the dates said 19, but I'm like, I don't remember this coming out.
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
as far
as 2021.
Yeah, because I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes. Not that that's a necessarily authentic whatever, but it says release date in theaters February 2nd, 2021 limited, which just means they put it on one theater just so they could say they put it on a theater and be eligible for awards. And then the release date streaming was February 5th, 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, this was Stars North, the production media group, Space Florida production company, and like I said, it's available on Paramount Plus now. And this basically tells the story of Nichelle Nichols and her role in diversifying NASA in the 70s, and afterwards too. But that was sort of when her official project started, and after that, she's just sort of been an ambassador of NASA recruiting and education and supporting that organization and space exploration for all communities in America since then. So. Daniel, I'm going to start with you because I know Darren's, our resident NASA nerd. So I'm going to go with the non-NASA nerd first. Daniel, what would you think of the whole documentary?
I thought it was pretty good. At risk of sounding maybe a little distasteful, I'm not sure what the reasoning behind releasing it now was, but it almost feels like it would be better served as after Nichelle has passed, sort of a thing, like a celebration of her life. But I thought it was pretty good. It was it didn't give me as much information about, it did present a lot to the viewer. But at one point in the documentary, they state that it was like a 4. She was the main crux of this. Her campaign was like a 4-week campaign.
Month.
4 months.
Yeah, 4 months. Sorry, you're right. 4 months.
Weeks could become months.
And I was like, okay,
if we go by the book.
I'm like, that's interesting. I wish like there was more hard data, facts and dates and stuff, because it just felt like she just got involved with NASA and they've been best friends ever since. And I'm just like, oh, that's cool. I've kind of known that, but it was good. I thought it was really good, honestly. And at the end, it hits all the right notes with all the famous people and astronauts saying how inspirational Nichelle has been. So I thought it was pretty good. Pretty good.
When we were starting the movie at home, I forget how it starts, but anyway, my wife's like, is this a Star Trek movie or a regular movie? It's a regular movie. And then she sees Nichelle Nichols. She's like, oh, this is a Star Trek movie. The next 2 credits are like George Takei and Walter. She's like, oh, this is a Star Trek movie.
They're like, no. And then the next one's like Rod Roddenberry. Like, God dang it. It's just...
Yeah, I know. You're not helping.
Michael Dorn.
Yeah, exactly. But Darren, I know you're up on NASA and its history, but I guess what you think, and did you learn anything new?
No, I did. It was a really nice documentary, and yeah, I kind of echo a little bit of Daniel's sentiments of it. It would also just work as well, telling a part of her life story, after she's past, but it definitely answered like a specific question of, I mean, you could almost feel the researcher being like, oh, I wonder what happened in this era. And they're like, oh, Nichelle Nichols had this massive involvement with NASA in the 70s. Let's make a documentary about that. Like, and it does, it answers that question really well. And yeah, I was kind of thinking the very thing too at the beginning where it's like, okay, like, but you are going to talk about NASA, right? Because there's a lot of getting into Star Trek at the beginning, but it makes sense. And it has to establish that for people who may not know who Nichelle Nichols is and explain, her, because you obviously have to lead up to the Dr. King moment. I mean, we've all heard that story a lot of him, encouraging her to stay in the role. But yeah, I mean, I had known before that Nichelle Nichols had been like an ambassador or some sort of relationship with NASA before. And I'd seen like that one video where she's in the blue coveralls and she's at the desk. And I think that had recently been unearthed or re-released, but I didn't really know this whole story. So it was a lot of fun to learn about just this awesome experience of, I mean, yes, Star Trek is a part of it, but it's also Nichelle. I mean, it's not like George Takei became the forerunner for, NASA recruitment in the 70s, but, so it was her drive that brought it about. But I love the part of the story or part of the experience that is also, merging Star Trek, something we all love, with space, and that giving her enough, popularity clout to get in the door to these locations and then, like she said, they brought me in because I was Uhura, but then once they talked to me for 5 minutes, they're like, oh, this lady knows what she's talking about, and she's actually legitimately promoting this, not just, oh, look, here I'm a fancy star that doesn't know anything of what I'm talking about. And she tricks you in with that, with that miniskirt and then hits you with the NASA playbook. But I loved it. It was a great story, and I learned a lot. And all the other interviews and the astronauts, and going through the the Challenger disaster and to present day. So I think it's great. It made me really admire a lot that she had accomplished for our space program, and so in that regard, for the documentary, mission successful.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Slap the button.
I don't think I knew a lot. I mean, I think, like I said, vaguely, like Nichelle did help NASA, but I didn't realize it was like a 45-year effort. I mean,
right.
And so that was interesting. So I guess
like the demographic and face of a shuttle program would have been dramatically different for her, influence.
Mm-hmm. So I guess for lack of a better reason, we'll just go in order here. So as you said, Darren, I think they give you Star Trek up front just to be like, hey, Star Trek nerds, we got Star Trek. We'll talk about what we want you to learn about.
It's later. The same thing. She gets in the door with Star Trek and then hits you with the NASA once she's there.
So I thought it was interesting. We didn't get other than like the only movie we get is motion picture, which I think is funny because she in that one educational reel. She's in her motion picture uniform. Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. Where they beam in and then the communicator ends up in the kid's hand or something, and it's and it takes like 50 minutes for it to dematerialize. And then she's ordering a bucket of KFC or something's going on. But anyway, so going in order. So they talk about, of course, her background, her biography background of growing up in Chicago, becoming a dancer. Because I've read her autobiography, which at this point is a few years old, but yeah, so it's more singing and dancing was obviously her background, and working with Duke Ellington, and eventually, just basically deciding to kind of move to LA and to start her television career, and then that's when we got the Gene Roddenberry connection with starring in an episode of The Lieutenant, which when we were talking briefly about Gene Roddenberry a few weeks ago, that I'd read where this episode basically got banned, the one that she was in, basically. So it's like, and that makes sense that leads to him. Well, then I'll make another show that will let me tell these stories without being banned.
Funnily enough, I just told you guys I was reading this book. I literally got to this part in that book.
This is the gossip of Star Trek.
Yes. So they're talking about the lieutenant, and they're like, "Oh, there was an episode about racism that Gene wanted to do, and like really, really pushed for it." And up until that point, the Army was letting him use one of their bases in California to shoot on, and he pushed and pushed and pushed, and eventually, basically, got the episode to release. And then the Army said, no more. You can't, because this makes us look bad. And this started his fractious relationship with NBC, which carried on to Star Trek as well. So I was like, hey, that's cool. I also didn't know, I wasn't aware, I didn't know, but I'm not surprised to find out, according to Nichelle Nichols' autobiography, that she was involved romantically with Gene around that time.
I mean, who wasn't?
So, yeah.
Pretty much. And I mean, it can cut both ways, but it definitely seems like anyone who met her in the 60s or any time afterwards is always like, this is a very attractive woman.
And in the later interview, where she's much older, and she all of a sudden like kicks out the notes, like the high and the low notes, and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's really good. I was not expecting that.
Did you guys watch the after credits scene?
No, I didn't know there was an after credits
scene.
Why are there after credits scenes in the dang documentary? I'm sorry, guys. That's too
it was
much.
Her sing, or maybe I guess during the credits. It was like because you had to wait a little bit. It's her singing in the booth.
Yes,
I
saw that.
Oh, I missed that part.
I forget which song. It'll come to me. It's a song they sung on Deep Space Nine, and in the singers
in the
lounge.
very end.
Vic Fontaine's lounge. That's one of the songs that you sang there. One of the old stand-ins. Yeah. I can't remember what it is now. But anyway, but she showed that she could still, get pretty good for however old she is, 80s or whatever. But anyway,
she's 88 right now.
88. So yeah, and I'm sure she was 85 or something when this was shot. And so then we get Star Trek, of course. And probably nothing we're too surprised about hailing frequencies open not being the most mouthful of dialogue, but I think it was interesting that the Star Trek actors we heard from were sort of the other people on her tier of Star Trek. We got George, we got
Leonard, no Shatner, yeah. And because
James,
I remember seeing
by now. Dee had died by now.
What was it? There was other. Maybe I'm thinking of other shows, but I mean, they didn't come out and say it, but I thought I remember seeing something about that reduction of role where they would, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Seven, where, or a lot of times in Star Trek, you'll have a character that becomes like the writer's favorite. And that was probably Spock. And so you get, great lines that Uhura would normally have, and then by the end of the rewrites, they're Spock's, or same thing with Seven. It's like B'Elanna gets a really great role, and then by the end of the script, it's all Sevens, when it didn't really need to be. And that could be super frustrating, though, if you're trying to like grow your character and you feel like all the character growth gets shunted into another character.
I did like the answer, what's your favorite episode, whenever I wasn't on the bridge.
Yeah.
Though, I don't know. Maybe I just need to get over it. I'm on a list of things I need to get over, I'm sure. Anytime they talk about Star Trek and its progressive vision, if I can say that, they always show that. I hate that episode. It's not a good episode. I know where they always
the
show
black and white.
It's not a good episode.
It's easy shorthand, though. It's so easy.
Watch that episode. It's not good.
Show that 10-second clip, and people understand what you're trying to say.
It's the soundbite episode.
Yeah,
we all know
soundbite. But watch that. Let it be your last battlefield. I mean, I get the messages. They fight at the end. They've all died on the planet, and there's. I get it. Watch the episode. It's not great, but anyway, I mean, there's better episodes with progressive message. But I get it. We want to show it. So we get all of Star Trek, and so I'm trying to remember the exact timeline here. So Star Trek ends, and then we get.
They jump to like 75 with
we get the first Star
the
Trek
convention, the big convention. Yeah.
So, which we invented in the fandom, which that's always like a cool thing when you go into history. It's like Star Trek invented all this stuff. We invented.
Well, and that other shows came and went before, but it was Star Trek that really was like the fans wouldn't let go. It doesn't matter that it's off the air. We're still going to talk about it. We're still going to, there's no podcast at that time, but we're still going to, keep it alive.
We're the cult that doesn't die, apparently. But yeah, no, it was good. And so now I'm trying to recollect here, and I just watched it yesterday. Darren, how does she actually get involved in it? I know there was a guy there, right? So go ahead.
Right,
What was
the guy with the Europeanish name? I can't pronounce it.
And accent.
Yeah, where
hopefully not former Nazi. Okay.
So he was speaking, and he opens up his talk being, "I wanted to just see Nichelle's legs and make sure they were as beautiful as I expected them to be," and great A for sexism in the 70s,
yeah.
but it made her want to listen to him, and he, she's smart, and the way he was passionate about NASA as well, and he was one of those, advocates as well, and he had a position there, but she met with him then later, and then that kind of started that handshake relationship with NASA.
And then let me see if I get the timeline right. So this is like 75 or whatever it is, 76.
Right. So Apollo's ended. Your budget for NASA is dropped from like 100 billion to like 10 billion.
Yeah. Because you have like the Kennedy speech and whatever it was, 61 or whatever, and then you just see
like
it slowly
within
grow
2 years it drops like 90%.
We've made it to the moon.
Yeah.
Tick.
Yeah.
Done.
Pretty much. We're done.
Skylabbed. Done.
Yeah, they've done Skylab, they've done Apollo Soyuz, they've done all of that, and so it's literally what is next. And now you have the shuttle program, and you need a new crop of astronauts for that. And you have, a small, they're trying their recruitment drive, and they've only had like 1,000 or so responses, and they're all men, and they're all white, or pretty much, and so NASA had an image problem where nobody, because they had a women's program and they'd not let them fly, and they'd had other programs, and it was definitely an all boys club.
It's pretty interesting too, just the fact that NASA being who they are, being a little ahead of their time, 20, 30 years, 40 years ahead of their time now, like having a diversity program in the late 70s.
That's true.
Headed by Nichelle Nichols. And it's like somebody there was smart. Like somebody there was actually forward thinking and was like, yeah, this is a problem that we can solve. And
and here's the thing, because the diversity issue was with the astronauts, not with NASA itself. As she pointed out, when she visits NASA, NASA is literally like, we need the best because of what the monumental task we need to accomplish. So you had, men, women, all ethnicities in NASA, just not reflected in the astronaut program.
Yeah, because I liked, we're now that we've have a few documentaries under our belt here, in the past couple months.
This was no chaos on the bridge, so.
Well, I'm sorry, like the random talking heads that we get, like the and sorry, and I don't mean to insult anyone, but like the co-founder of the Woman Geeks fashion line. I can't think of her name, but I was like,
or like Pharrell Willem, because he co-produced like Hidden Figures. I'm like, that's the only reason. I mean, cool, but or you even had Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka Tano, who has her universe clothing
That's what
line.
I was talking about.
Like she had like one line at the very end, and it's like, okay, why are you in here? But
but anyway, Hidden Figures. Of course, I don't know. I don't know if I have to explain it to the audience that's listening here, but that was certainly a movie that revealed at least the black women that were involved in the early NASA Apollo program. I guess that would be. But I guess one thing I never thought about, because I guess I don't necessarily think about NASA history.
I do on a daily basis, but yeah.
but like you said, with the shuttle program, we go from basically the I say this with all respect, the tin can of the Apollo
test pilot.
Yeah. And then so the shuttle program is not just the pilots, because I guess there's more that's being done. We can have scientists and researchers,
and poets, and artists, and
exactly. Well, congressional observers apparently too.
Yeah.
So
okay, District 72 congressional observers, your time in the hot seat. Good up there.
Which was and I don't know the man's history even, but like Bill Nelson, I thought he was like a like astronaut to Congress, not Congress to astronaut. I was like, that's not many people go that way. I mean, John Glenn, I get it, but like this was like,
yeah, true.
I'm in Congress. I'm going to go up into space now, and now I believe he's the head of NASA. I think President Biden just nominated him to be the head of NASA, if I'm not mistaken. Bill Nelson.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway. So
the current NASA administrator. Yeah. But yeah, you have that shift of, it was all test pilots and literally a proving ground and, 1, 2, 3 person crews. And now you have the space shuttle and it's the truck in space. And you have,
wagon train to the stars, Darren.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess you could call it that. But, it's a lot like Starfleet, where now you can have scientists, now you can have mission specialists, and you can have people who they have to have the basic astronaut training. It's not like a tourism, but they
you can
also
get a linguist from South America who throws up when she's on her first starship.
Oh, Hoshi. But no, you can have people who, have specifics on the types of research they're doing or the type of payload that's going up or things like that. And it opened up a lot of scientific exploration. So that really became, the space shuttle only goes into low Earth orbit. And so that became the platform for launching satellites, doing scientific research, and visiting the space shuttle. It's pretty much what the shuttle did for decades.
Yeah, and I think it was funny because, Darren, you said image problem, but like, whether they're cognizant, like they didn't think there was an image problem. They're just like, we put the applications out and this is what we get. And it's like, well, who are you recruiting to? And it's like, well, the test pilot military. Well, that's why you're,
Well, there's your problem.
Yeah, and it's sort of like a cycle. And NASA's not the only thing that suffers from in the 70s, and of course, 21st century still. But like, we don't have X or Y people. Well, you're not targeting X and Y people, and if X and Y people don't see themselves,
or if they come in and they're like, but it's hostile to them because there's never been X and Y people, then it's like, well, now there's your problem.
Yeah. So, but I thought it was interesting, like that also, such a government program that was like, we have 9 months recruiting and we've already spent 5 of it and we've gotten 2 applications and, it's like, wow.
What's wrong? Yeah. We'll just throw more money at it, Bob. That'll solve the problem. No.
So I did like, and it's very sort of, I don't know. It's very like real life. Like, it's not necessarily pretty that it's like the fairy tale would be like, NASA would be like, we need someone, and Nichelle's like, we need someone who's like this, and NASA's like, what about you? And Nichelle's like, I'll do it. No, that's not what happens. Nichelle says, I have my own company, and I'd be more than happy to take your military government contract to do this. Here's my contract as you slide over, so I could respect it.
Oh, yeah. It's your first big gig.
Live.
Yeah, that's very smart. And man, I think at the end of her 4-month process, and she had to do the report, and it's like a number 4 binder or something. And yeah, you think like that's probably what they used to justify her receiving, like the award she received at the end for all that, because it is amazing what she did.
Yeah, though I feel like they missed out on a really good line because they're like, this is, now we can cut and paste. Back then we had to do. It's like, no, the line is back. Now we can cut and paste. Back then we had to cut and paste. That's
we had to Xerox and replicate.
You're just cutting pictures out of newspapers and dictionaries and putting it in the report. And
yeah, I'm like, that's exactly what you did. Like, how is that different?
There's no Google Images, so. So I don't know, Daniel, what'd you think of sort of her hustling around the country and drumming up report or giving speeches and making videos and
Yeah, it was good. It made a lot of sense too. Like when she was telling that story about how like, oh, why not you? And she's like, okay. Like somebody that get to give it legitimacy is what she says. Mm-hmm. And I thought that, it kind of felt almost like movie script like, but it worked really well for me. And I could see how seeing Nichelle in that role, and she's actually, out there reaching out to communities. Like I can see how that would have definitely put a lot of people's mind at ease because now you have this person who many people had been a fan of for years at that point, kind of spearheading this. And it was, I really kind of wish we saw more of it. Like she says, she went to every. We almost had like an Indiana Jones overlay of like,
it was.
She went to every college of it. She could get her hands on and spoke and stuff. And I just wish there was some. I know it was the 70s, a different time, but I wish there was some archival footage or something of it. But
we had the Good Morning America footage.
That was great.
A little more of the other stuff intermixed would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it makes me think of like Tom Hanks nowadays is also like a very big space advocate for his work on like Apollo 13 and from the Earth to the Moon series, but also for the military, for the U.S. military with like Band of Brothers and stuff like that. So you do have other actors, who have had that kind of ambassadorship kind of role with other programs.
And I thought it was interesting that to me, this is my nerdy thought. Like she's like, it makes sense, of course. If I'm going to go out and talk about this, I need to know what I'm talking about. So like, she doesn't say these words, but like, I need to go to space camp, basically.
Right.
But the part that made me laugh was like, if the timeline is right, like, I don't know how it really works, but it's my imagination. They're 5 weeks into the recruiting. She has a contract for 4 months. She's like, I go to space camp. Like, that's a month. Like, it's like she's not even going to do anything except but learn. I mean, because like, I'm sure it takes a while to learn all that stuff.
Well,
and go through
yeah. I mean, I'm sure they gave her like a crash course.
3 weeks left by the end of this project, but
I'm sure she did like probably a 2 week or maybe 3 week most to get.
She did
to
the
get
same
it all
training program the miners in Armageddon did.
Oh, jeez. Look, it's much easier for you to teach us to be astronauts than for us to teach you how to be miners or oil workers. But again, that was really smart of her because then she knows what she's talking about and it gives even more agency. Because now when she's meeting with NASA officials, she can talk the talk and know what she's talking about rather than just, I don't really know what NASA does, but you should come join. Like, no, she's actually been there. And again, that great footage of her, in a blue jumpsuit doing the stuff. And it's even more interesting. It just makes me reflect that much more on, it had to be Nichelle. Like, I can't think of anyone else from that cast that really could have done what she did because of her personality and her drive. And that came out. I
mean, Jimmy Doohan could have done every voice. So that's
he could have been himself and Nichelle. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which would have been unfortunate now in the 21st century. I mean, Darren, I've haven't watched new episodes, not because it isn't good, but just because I haven't gotten back into it. But the new series For All Mankind,
right?
Of course, that posits. Speaking of parallel universes,
right? That goes up through mid 70s, and the Apollo Soyuz is the end of that second season.
Mm-hmm. But I'm just thinking, technically, wouldn't it be correct to say Nichelle Nichols is the first female astronaut trainee? I mean, like, because I'm just thinking about and all the little things.
Technically, well, because technically you have the Mercury 13, the from that program who got into like basic training, but that's where they stopped the program. I mean, I think you even had one person who interviewed who said, in the original astronaut corps, you had, something like 2,000 applicants and 7 became astronauts. And then you had like 30 women and 13 of them, or like 60 women and like 13 of them became, possible to be astronauts. Like, yeah, no, you're not wrong. I don't know. I've always felt it's just been ridiculous how long it took us to put women in space. I mean, the fact that like Russia did it.
We're doing, yeah.
Oh, it's all just politics because there's no physical reason not to.
Well, I was just thinking like when Nichelle was doing her training, I don't know how intensive as far as, but like I don't know if they ran into like. I know this is gonna sound really stupid. Do the uniforms fit? Do they talk about the bathroom issue? Do they get into all this stuff since they haven't had a woman use these things and
that's true. And I think
10 years probably.
I know Sally Ride as the first American woman in space had to deal with that a little bit as they're, making preparations for her first flight. But yeah, I like that part. I mean, yeah, man, seeing like super young Sally Ride, like all the that first class of 35, which is the fact that they turned it from a class of 25 to 35 because they liked the applicants so much. But they're all like babies. It's just so fresh faced and ready to go. And then you had like later, you had like Maya Jameson and, you know, many other great astronaut candidates come through the program.
So you know, we have the recruiting program, which was funny because when I was watching the documentary, there's certain times where, you know, there's the update screen, for lack of a better word, where, you know, it shows text on the screen,
A little chapter screen, like we're going to the next topic or whatever.
Well, like I thought the movie was ending at that part when I thought like, you know, oh, the recruiting effort is over, and you know, NASA had done this much applications by the time before Nichelle started, and after she started, there's this many applications.
And it's like, oh,
that's the end of the movie.
Okay,
done.
Credits.
I was getting ready to, oh, there's more.
Is the whole rest of the movie an after credit scene? Is that what
I was like, that was pretty short. Well, these things, but no, it kept on going because, I mean, it was interesting. I don't know. I go back and forth. I mean, no, it is weird that we don't know both. Like, for instance, not that everyone knows this, but most of us know Sally Ride is the first woman in space. How many people can name
American
the first
woman? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. How many people name the first African American in space? I can't before this. I've never thought about it. And I was like, I don't feel like I should know that, right? I mean,
I know Maya Jameson is the first African American woman in space. But male, I don't think I didn't know it off the top of my head.
Blanking on his name. No, I'm bad. So I learned nothing from watching this documentary, but I will definitely.
Well, you must watch it again, Philip.
Well, you should. But yeah, it was interesting because I know it was. I thought it was the one funny. I mean, not funny because it's actually pretty terrible thing was that when Nichelle was talking with the Pentagon, the military, because there's a military recruiting effort. And there's so it's basically civilian recruiting effort, and the military is basically saying, "Hey, Ms. Nichols, don't get involved in what we're doing because we got our own thing, we got our own standards." And she's like, "Okay, that's fine." And then like she does Columbo at the end, like, but one more thing. Question: if they don't get accepted through the military route, can they apply through the civilian route? And they're like, "Yes." And so like, aha! So then you have all these. Not all these, but you have African American military members now just applying through the civilian way and getting in through that way. So F you, Pentagon. And so, yeah. So I think that was how I'm going to Google him while we're talking. That was how the first African American man got into space because he was military, but
went through the civilian program.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think, Daniel, about the part where we get to the Enterprise and we've kind of heard that story before of it gets rolled out and the crew is there, but what did you think of that part? They should they're playing the music and
we've all seen those clips and stuff before.
That one picture that's always circulated of the terrible fashion, but
it does give it a different context though, like a different spin, like thinking about because you see that picture and it's just all of them. It's all of them from the original.
It's like,
series.
And why is Nichelle not in the front? Because she, like, come on.
That's what
Shatner and Nimoy are like,
yeah. That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's like, she's now not only had a relationship with NASA, but has actually been working with them for years or what.
She knows the people flying that ship. None of the others know any of those people.
No, they all showed up from LA or whatever.
She's the tour guide now, pointing out stuff. Oh yeah, hey Bob, that's the second astronaut getting ready to go.
So it definitely paints that event in a very different light, where it's almost like they should have put a captain's hat on Nichelle.
Which I was kind of surprised because I thought the history was that there was a letter writing campaign to name it Enterprise, but the way they described it was like Nixon was just like, nope, Enterprise.
It was Ford, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ford. Sorry, Ford. One of those presidents, but
yeah, if it was Nixon, it would have been like the Roosevelt or something.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean Nixon. I meant Reagan. But maybe that was Ford.
Still too soon. It was Ford. I think it was probably both. Well, I mean, there was, of course, the winner. No one ever talks about this. Was Shuttle McShuttleface, but we weren't going to do that. So,
oh, jeez,
way ahead of their time. Way ahead of their time.
And then the government never did a write-in campaign, anything ever again.
You only do those things once. That's right.
Okay, here we go. I got his name. So, he has, I don't know how to say his first name. He has Guy is how he goes by. His first name is Guion. I don't know how to say that. I don't want to mispronounce it. But Guy Bluford. I'm going to say it 3 times. Guy Bluford. He was the first African American man, but African American in space on board the Challenger in 1983. 1983 was the first African American in space, which is ridiculous.
There you go.
But Guy Bluford, so that's his name.
So let's see. So from
60
60 to 1983. God, that's just sad.
Yeah, America sucks.
But
anyway,
well, we did better in Ronald Moore's alternative timeline, I guess. So
I know that's why for those who want to watch that series, I mean, I'm only halfway through the first season, but yeah, with both women and yeah, because Sally Ride wasn't until later. I mean, not much later, but like 80.
Yeah, and she does come into second season of For All Mankind as Sally Ride, but
played by Sally Ride.
No, but it was one of the few characters that is based on a real person.
So anyway, but so not fast forwarding, but so we get the first, we get that first class and second class, and we start getting the diversity thing going. And it was, as we talked a little bit more about the different shuttles, my brain flicked, of course, when I heard Challenger, and it was like, oh, they're Challenger. They went up, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I know, every time they're launching a Challenger, I'm like holding my breath, like, I don't remember which number it was, but is it this one?
Yeah,
okay, no.
And I think, when I was watching kind of at this point, because you're almost, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of the way through, I don't know, I wasn't like tracking it.
Yeah, it's towards the end.
Maybe they're going to ignore it. Which would be fine. I mean, because this is good movie. We're all good. Things are happening, progression. Like, maybe we can ignore it, whatever. We're just going to keep on going. But I was like, they did not ignore it. And so,
no.
And so, unfortunately, and I don't have it in front of me. It was like, probably know, Darren, but like, was it 5 or 7? I know it's an odd number of crew.
7.
7. And this is off the top of my head, but you can correct me. It was like 1 Asian American, 2 women. Am I right?
Yep.
And then, I don't know if there was anyone else of color, but like, it was like a pretty diverse crew. It was like, I don't know if it was the most diverse crew.
There's 1 African-American man, 1 Asian
Oh, yeah, it was like Ron
and,
McNair. I remember the name for some reason.
Yeah, and 2 women. I think that's right. But yeah, it was, and one was a close friend with Nichelle.
Oh yeah, the woman, one of the women. And I apologize for not saying her name. But like, it was, to me, I don't know. I was just like, we have the most diverse crew, and like, unfortunately, tragically, they're the ones who die, unfortunately. And of course,
that's also the school teacher. I think that was that one.
Resnick, Judy Resnick. Am I getting that name right? Maybe I'm.
Yeah, Judy's the one that she was close with.
Mm-hmm. Which the one thing that struck me about the astronaut was her hair. She has this big thing hair, which I think was like, it's one of those things that, I mean, I'm glad that she's in there. Like, you would think like NASA might be like straight laced, so you gotta like cut it, or you gotta. I know they're not military, but like, they might. But like, she's just like boom out
and in space,
like,
it just kind of floats around you.
Yeah,
there's a little orc cloud of hair.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I just thought that was very, I don't know, just 80s are just very cool that she's being who she is. But yeah, and so we heard from, I don't know, now Administrator Bill Nelson, but at least former Senator Bill Nelson, which I didn't know the history, Darren. I knew you do that.
With the dual pad launch? Yeah.
What was his shit? Was he on the Discovery or what? I can't remember which shuttle he was on.
I don't remember which one he was on, but yeah.
But anyway, like, he was like going to go, and they scrubbed it, and he was going to go, and they scrubbed it, and he was going to go, and they scrubbed it. Meanwhile, Challenger's sitting on the other pad, and he's like, we finally went up. And it had been
sitting out in the elements for several months, and that I'm sure contributed to the problem.
Yeah, and so then they went out, and obviously you watched the reaction, obviously, from everyone who had to watch that. So, and then you sort of felt like how I'm sure the country felt, the infamous sort of President Reagan speech there. But then you have the like, do we do NASA anymore? Is this killed NASA? What are we doing? And so then
and I liked how they intercut that with Kirk's speech about risk. Risk is our game. Risk is our business. And it's like, yeah, it is. It's, I mean, the only safest thing to do is not launch, and that's not an option.
Again, not that I'm saying it's a bad episode, but it's odd if you know the whole context. They're arguing whether they should like beam down and put their brains into pods and let them be taken over by the lights of Zetar or something.
Just go with the soundbite, Philip. That's
I
all we
know.
need.
I just think it's context
Risk
is
is
king.
our business.
Sometimes you get good speeches in bad episodes.
That's true.
But of course, the shuttle continued. Shuttle programs continued, and we continued to crew. Well, I don't know if increase, but have some diversity. So that was good, and that I'm trying to remember. And so, like, long story short,
Well, I was wondering if they're going to talk about Columbia.
Yeah,
because
they
that
didn't.
was which they
No, they didn't touch on it at all. Yeah.
That's 03, so they didn't talk about that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just talking about just the continued connection and working, and then I think her receiving that award and just what had been. They were kind of just slowly wrapping up that part of the story.
Because I think, and making it, it was, I guess, if I don't understand the full background, but I assume, this completed in 2019, so they got to do background. It was probably filmed in 2018, and then blah, blah, blah. Because, one thing watching it, not a lot, but a few of the people are dead, or, passed away.
Right.
Congressman John Lewis, and I think one or two other folks. I remember watching, these people all passed away. But I guess one thing that struck me as sort of the narrative continued was then the end of the shuttle program.
In 2011, yeah.
Right, and you sort of get the last shuttle, and then you have some of the older folks at that point who had been astronauts come out and all that celebration. Well, and to backtrack just a second, of course, we have Dr. Mae Jemison that we talked about, of course,
right,
with her infamous Star Trek Next Generation cameo. So that was pretty cool. We did get... I don't think we were physically there, but we were physically near it.
The 2016
yes, 50th,
Star Trek
Whoopi
came on stage.
That's right.
We I believe we were
Yeah,
there
I don't
for
remember
Whoopi,
we went to that one.
but we didn't go to the other one where Whoopi showed up for Nichelle.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Look, you can only go to so many so many
Like
things.
when we're watching the documentary, we're like, we were there-ish. I mean, we were in the building.
We were, in that building.
Looking back on it, I probably wish I had spent the time to go to Nichelle's panel, thinking about it. That was probably the last panel she did. She hasn't done very much convention-wise since then.
Instead, we were doing a podcast with Tristan and Cher talking about, I don't know, Voyager something. I don't know.
Yeah, rewriting Voyager episodes and playing
with
Star Trek, the interactive VCR board game, the Klingon Challenge.
Yeah. But yes. So, but I guess one thing that is not in the documentary, I mean, there's a lot in it. I mean, this isn't a criticism, but as far as the narrative of her contributions, I mean, look, she's lived long enough. She doesn't have to make any more contributions. But her contributions.
What have you done for us recently,
Exactly.
Nichelle?
But in the and Darren, I know you can better classify this. The post-shuttle era of you can't really say NASA, just space exploration, because now we're going private sector.
Well, you do have NASA's non-private. Well, I guess it is. You have the Space Launch System, which is what they're working on now, and that's where it's not fully awarded yet. So that's still being developed, and that's the Orion project and the capsule. But then you have a lot of private sector stuff like SpaceX and Blue Origin. But no, NASA's still building its own thing. That's the Orion capsule, and that's by, I think it's either Boeing or Lockheed. I can't remember exactly which, but that's the more traditional NASA driven program versus SpaceX, which is completely private. So we're not doing much. We're trying.
To an extent, not that it doesn't have its own evils, but at least with the government, diversity is something that is certainly available to be expanded. Private sector can do what it wants, and so I don't know anything about how SpaceX and I don't know how diverse their crews are. I don't know anything other than Elon Musk.
It's interesting. Crazy. It's almost kind of I think if anything, it's just different from the shuttle area because of how many people you could send up. And I mean, the first SpaceX capsule was only 2, but now I think you can fit up to 8 in it. But it's different though, because right now it's getting to the space station. The space station is where you have all the international and all the mix. That's where you have the diversity coming from different nations and things like that. It's not so much in the flight up there parts, you know, the individual missions, just because we don't really go into space to just float around the planet. We go up to go to our space station.
I say R.
Because I don't think we're doing a lot of research inside a Dragon X capsule, but
yeah, because there's I don't know why it's on my Facebook all the time. There's I saw it today. There's a woman who's showing how she shampoos her hair in space or something. So I don't know who's currently up there. But I know it's
and you have China starting their own station. I think they've had their first module up now, and they're working on that. And it's I mean, the ISS has been up for a while now, and it's still got a little bit more in its lifespan.
Yeah,
but we've also been shifting a lot towards rovers, so a lot of rover and probes to other planets. It's been a lot of unmanned stuff since the shuttle era, and so we're only kind of just spooling up into kind of a post-shuttle actual flight missions, as opposed to just ferrying up to the station.
Where's our Mars bases?
I mean, I've heard that they want to be sending people around, at least looping around the moon, pretty dang soon. So we'll see how that goes.
Daniel, when's the Mars defense perimeter going up?
Not soon enough, I tell you.
It's only 3 ships, Daniel. It's not that hard.
You never know when those Borg are going to come in.
You trust that asteroid belt to keep them out.
That's right.
Or what's the Peter Weller's character who had the Mars base and the weird cannon?
Yeah.
The Nova, Earth Prime.
Terra Firma.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm trying to remember. We sort of wrap up at that, and we sort of get Nichelle sort of singing and showing what can do, and wrapping up her sort of memories. But yeah, I think it kind of. I just watched it yesterday, but I feel like it doesn't end with it ends with a celebration. She wore. This is all the great things she's done. Everyone's like, this is all great. People don't know all the great stuff she's done over the past decades, which is true. But narratively, it's not where's space exploration now? I guess it's my question.
It kind of
go from here. And
kind of tapers off the ending of the documentary.
So, but I mean, like I said, not a criticism, just because there's a lot to put in there, and they did. So, but I don't know. Daniel,
and we watched this on Paramount Plus, is where it's available if people want to watch it, and we recommend they do.
Sure. So we'll just go around and do some final thoughts or anything else you wish they could have added. So Daniel, any final thoughts or anything you wish they could have added?
I don't know if there's anything I wish they added. I thought it was pretty good and pretty effective. I liked. Obviously it's a sentimental thing, but I like when they put in hey, this had an impact on me. This is why this is why I did this. Nichelle Nichols was a direct influence on me and why I joined this program, and it's it's pretty awesome. It's really cool stuff, and probably in a lot of ways one of the most tangible ways Star Trek has touched reality. So we can thank Nichelle for that, because these people have done amazing, incredible things, and pushed us forward into a Star Trek future. So it's it is very lofty, and it's very nice to think about, and I think it's kind of a feel good documentary in a lot of ways. So I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. And what about you, Darren? What do you think, and what it does for NASA and space exploration?
Yeah, well, like Daniel said, we know people who have often said that they pursued careers because of Star Trek, like engineering or things like that. But yeah, to hear the one-off takes of I'm literally an astronaut because I heard Nichelle Nichols on this Thursday on the radio and was she was talking to me. Those are cool. That's cool to hear. And yeah, it was cool to just go that much more beyond the Martin Luther King story, because we've all heard that story of the representation, but man, it just made me appreciate Nichelle so much more and just all she had done. And you really get a sense that it wasn't just that she was a Star Trek actress. It was she used that as a tool to accomplish her mission and her goals, but it was because of who Nichelle was, and this tenacious and clever woman who just was like, okay, this is my goal, and it's never been done before, but I'm going to do it and do it well, and she gets to see the tangible benefits of things that she accomplished. So yeah,
just to add on to that, I thought it was a cool anecdote, and we never hear it from. We've heard that the Martin Luther King story a bunch, but it was fun to hear from the other side. And I would you say the King household, or would you say the Luther King household? I don't know how that. Yes. The King household.
He was the third. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is interesting to hear that in the King household, only Star Trek was allowed. So yeah, just another reason why. That's awesome. But it's cool to hear it from that other side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I felt like it interacted with the time period in a positive way, where it's like, yeah, this is what it was like in the 60s, and this is what it was like in the 70s, and yeah, I think they tell they really tell the story they're going out to tell, which is this amazing chapter of her life and what it did for the space program, and it's a good story, and I think it's worth being told.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Woman in Motion is the name of the movie, but Women in Motion was her company to make more things possible, and to make things in America look like America, and so definitely.
Yes, so if you search for Women in Motion on Paramount Plus,
it will not come up.
You will not find anything, and you'll be very confused, and then you find out it's Woman in Motion. Yep.
Yes, exactly. So, but please check it out and let us know your thoughts. So until next week, I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
I'm Darren Moser.
Stranded here on City Alpha 3.